Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by WV Raman. How's things going?
Fairly slow, but these are tough times, so you got to try and first ensure that you're trying to stay safe and stay healthy. There's only so much that the governments can do, but at the end of the day, it's all about how we protect ourselves and try and stay safe, because these are not like ordinary times, and it's an obligation of every individual to try and do what best he or she can do in terms of caring for others' protection as well.
Absolutely, safety for all is paramount. So you're a former Indian international tester, one-day international. You're the current women's international head coach. But before we dive into that element, let's talk a little bit about your career and how it started. What first got you into the sport? Obviously, cricket in India is a religion, but did you have the bug from a young age?
When I was growing up, there were only two things that everybody did then, especially the boys. They breathed and they played cricket once they could start walking or run a little bit. So I started playing cricket with my friends more as a pastime and also as an avenue to make friends. It was not a situation where I can say that I played cricket, and from the day I started playing cricket, I was desperately vying or looking to achieve the goal of playing for the country. Things started slowly developing as I got into the mainstream, but it, in short, it was something of a pastime. It was an outlet to do something after school. Those days, if you care to look back at those times, we didn't have any other forms of keeping ourselves busy. There was no internet, there was no mobile phones, there was no game apps, nothing. So we had to somehow try and get hold of guys around the neighborhood and do something to keep ourselves occupied and also to have some fun.
Because in India, there must be a lot of talented kids out there, especially once when you were growing up. What do you think made you stand out? Who spotted your talents in amongst the masses?
What transpired around the late 70s was that the BCCI started the policy of trying to catch them young. So they introduced under 15 tournament on the national level. What it did was that it suddenly gave boys who were playing for the fun of it an avenue to try and see as to how good they were when they were put into, let's say, a group of 100, people, as to how standout they would be, or whether their talent was better than the rest of the boys in their age group. So 79, 80, they started the under 15 tournament. So I used to play for my school by then, even though I was perhaps about 11, 12. I used to play for my sub junior and junior school team. Then there was a selection done for all the school boys and from schools which participated in the inter-school tournaments. Of course, they would make you go through the trials, which is probably a hit and a miss in many cases, because there would be so many boys turning up there. You would probably get to bat if you're a batter about 10, 15 deliveries, or if you're a bowler, you get a little bit more chances by way of getting to bowl more deliveries. Uh, so when I went to the selections, I just saw that there were two, three other boys who could bowl left arm spin recently. Mind you, I started to be noticed as a frontline left arm spinner who could bat a bit. So I got picked for the state under 15 side, and then I did well within the zone, which is a tournament where six states from the southern zone play against each other. It's a knockout tournament, it was. And after that, we were picked for the inter zonal, which meant that the five zones get to play against each other, and that was what was considered the national tournament. I did fairly well along with Lakshman Saram Krishnan, who was a leg spinner. So we were dubbed and we were looked upon as the hopefuls for the future in terms of spin bowling. But both our careers took a different turn as we went along. But The start of the under 15 in that particular year, I think, came about at the right time. After the under 15s, the very next year, I played for the under 19 state and the zone. And from there, it was a case of scaling the ladder steadily.
How do you think? How do you view the scouting system? Obviously, now with your position currently as the national team coach for the women's side, what is the scouting system like currently? Is it a case that one's talent will only be spotted in India? I'm talking about specifically if you go to a good school, or is there a system in place where, say, a kid that's in a slum, for example, is there opportunity for him or her to be spotted as well?
What changed in recent years was that it became to be looked upon as literally age group phase. When I say that, like I was talking about me getting into the under 15, those days you were called from schools which participated in the tournaments approved by the state association. But these days, what happens is an open notice is given to people through the media saying that on such and such a date, anybody who's under the age of 15 or 19 can come and take part in a selection trial, which gives an opportunity for anybody and everybody, regardless of whether they have the fortune of being educated in a school or whether they are not able to pursue their education. It opens up possibilities for people as long as they satisfy the age criteria.
So, for example, a kid that's playing in the Maidans, there is that actual opportunity for them to actually get spotted. Is that the case currently in India?
Of course, the other thing that also happens around India is that there are a lot of coaching academies started by people who have played this cricket, who have passion for this game. So what happens there is they play a lot of inter-academy matches within a city or within a district or within even a town. So that gives them an experience of what it is to play matches, what it is to compete, and the more people see you, the more you'll get known, the more chances you'll get to display your talent. So that is what serves as a feeder system. That is where from people come and get to play for either the city or for the state in official cricket later on. But the breeding ground happens to be all the various coaching academies and also these inter-academy matches that happen.
And then for you personally, when you made your debut for Tamil Nadu, how was that in terms of how did that stack at that time in terms of the proudest moment in your career? Did you feel as if that all that hard work and sacrifice to get to that level had paid off?
I would sort of look at it that way. The way I went about my playing career was that I would probably, for example, I would play the under 19 level, then I would look at excelling there and also to reassure myself that I was good enough to be playing at that level. And once you get to play there, the next objective was that to see that you did better than the rest. So I was always looking at trying to excel and keep shifting the goalpost. I wouldn't say that I was one who was always looking at a state cap or a national cap every day that when I went to a net session or when I got into a match.
When did that switch come about in terms of becoming more a frontline batsman? Because as you mentioned that you were seen initially as as a spinner. So when did that switch come about? Did someone come up to you, have a conversation? Hey, this is where your talent should lie in terms of making it to a higher level in terms of international, or was it something that you discovered yourself? Or yeah, just talk us through it.
None of those things happened. It just happened in a matter of 15 minutes. I was picked for India in the one day series against West Indies in the 88-89 season. So even then, I was picked as one who would probably bowl more and bat a little bit down the order. But they always recognized my batting ability. So I was probably uh, rated as one who could be a good all-rounder at that stage. Um, in Rajkot, I remember Jimmy Amarnath was indisposed. on the eve of the game. So on the morning of the match, we obviously couldn't get a replacement because there was no time, and Rajkot was not easily accessible those days. So they had to make do with the squad that they had, and Ravi Shastri was reading the series, and he came up to me and he said, "I need somebody to bat at three. Would you do it?" And without blinking my eyelid, I said, "Why not?" That was probably one chance of me getting to play higher up the order. If I were to play at this number that I was slotted, uh, I may not probably would have even got to bat. So, in fact, that did happen in the earlier one day, which was my debut in Eden Gardens. I went down the order. I was not out 6 or 7 or something like that. So when I was given that opportunity to bat at three, I jumped at it, and I must say I was fairly lucky that day because I was put on quite a few times. I managed to make 95, and then obviously uh, I was kept at the top of the order. They felt that I had it in me to probably get runs at international level. But what happened after that was that due to a combination of factors, when I say combination of factors, the fact that my bowling had deteriorated because of various reasons. One was that suddenly my action changed completely. I didn't realize then as to why it happened. After all these years, now when I think back, I think I can put my finger on what exactly triggered the change. But then, of course, in as much as I did try, because of my action changing, what happened was that whenever I bowled, let's say for what, half an hour or 1 hour, which a spinner was normally expected to do those days, every day in the nets, I used to develop severe back pain. So gradually, I had to give up, and I had to say, okay, let me be a batsman, and if I can figure out how to get back to where I was as a spinner, I would do it. Otherwise, it's tough luck. So that is how my transformation happened. It was just in a space of 15 minutes, and due to circumstances and combination of factors.
Do you think your game was more suited, reflecting back on your career, to more the longer form or the shorter form? I say 11 Test matches for India, 27 one dayers, got the century in the one day format against against South Africa. But when you reflect, do you think your game was more suited to the longer form or the shorter form?
I was basically a busy player in that I like to play my shots. I like to be busy. I was not a dart player. It's not that I would bat hours and hours and grind out runs. I was a natural stroke maker. Uh, More than the fact that I would rather look at my career in a different way. Uh, I did not ever get to play uh, on a trot. Yes, I would have played probably one full series in New Zealand in 1991, after which all my appearances were sporadic. I would play one test match now and then. I would have a break of 4 5 months. I would probably get a game if someone got injured or if someone really lost form. The thing was that uh, it's important for a young man who's just got into the side to get a string of chances so that either party can uh, arrive at a conclusion as to what this particular player is all about. Even for the player, it's easy if he plays a few test matches or a one-day games on the trot, he can realize and he can sort of assess as to how good he is or what he needs to do to get better. And even for the selectors or for the team management, it would have been easy to say, yes, we're given a run of chances. This is what we feel he's good at. This is not what he's capable of doing. So assessment would have been easier that way for both the parties, which never happened. I wouldn't sort of put it down to anything else except for the circumstances prevailing then.
Do you think that the main reason was because I did a bit of research and I saw that a lot of the matches India were playing, the test matches, test series, were abroad during that period. Do you think that if there were more games being played in India, conditions you're a bit more accustomed to, that you possibly would have got a bit more of a run in the side? Would that be a fair statement or not?
Yeah, that is one way of looking at it. But regardless of whether it was home series or away series, if you were to be playing, let's say, 3, 4 series continuously in the level. Now, what it does is, if you look at it in a different way, if you play about 12, 15 test matches on the trot, uh, uh, nobody is really going to fail that badly in all the 12 or 15 matches. You would make runs, even if you make runs in about, let's say, 7, 8 knocks. And if you have failures in the rest of the 7, the numbers are not going to be that bad. And if you have had chances of making big scores, that would stand you in good stead when you didn't make runs. So that way it would have evened out. Maybe things would have been different. More than the home and away part of it, what would have probably been helpful uh, was me playing on the trot, as I said earlier.
Did you feel the pressure of playing for India? Because everyone knows, as I suppose you mentioned at the top, it is a religion in the country. Did you feel that external pressure, or was it a case that you were able to block it out and solely focus on your game?
See, pressure is bound to be there, whether internal or external, when you're playing at the international level. For that matter, if you really care about your game or rate yourself professionally and personally, any kind of game is bound to produce that butterflies in the stomach. But of course, when you're playing for the country, the beauty of it is knowing that there's going to be pressure, there are going to be expectations. But at the same time, you got to try and alienate that and still try and do what best you can do on the field.
And do you view things currently as Test cricket as the pinnacle of the sport? Because in India, with the advent of IPL T20 cricket, that Bollywood feel, a lot of kids are perhaps going down that path in terms of interest. But from your perspective, do you still view Test cricket as the pinnacle of the sport?
I would, and our boys have shown in Sydney, regardless of the IPL being spoken about in different ways in different countries. Our boys at the SCG showed that Test cricket is very important, and that is what they consider sacrosanct. And they did fantastically to force out a draw against all odds, which means that when you have the national side doing that, it is going to percolate down to all the levels, and the youngsters seeing what the senior team is doing, they would realize that yes, T20 format is there, that has got its own charm. The one day format has got to uh, be there for different reasons, but the youngsters also, and also the public, would realize that Test cricket can be enchanting as well. It's not a case of all the time wanting to see batters having a gala time in a T20 format. Uh, so you need to have these kind of test matches happening now and then for everybody to realize what test cricket is all about, why. Let's say, even if you call me an old timer or players of my generation or in earlier generations, or repeatedly saying cricket is all about test cricket. So that was fantastic advertisement for test cricket. And we've also seen a lot of close test matches in the recent past, which is once again reaffirming the fact that nothing to beat test cricket.
Then take us into the dressing room in terms of when you were playing. You obviously played with the likes of, as you said, Ravi Shastri, Kapil Dev, Azruddin. What made those players stand out in your opinion?
Kapil Dev is a man who was born to be a sports person. Um, the natural ability that he had, all-round natural ability, was phenomenal. And Azruddin was really gifted. in terms of the way he could time the ball, the way he could improvise out there in the middle against all attacks and on all surfaces. If you look at Dilip Vengsarkar there, um, he was once again a product of the Bombay School of Batting. He would be there fighting it out. He would take his time, and once he got going, it was a pleasure to watch. Of course, this is all inspired by the likes of Gavaskar or probably Chandu Bobe or Manjrekar and the like who belong to the earlier generation. Uh, Apart from the fact that Kapil, Azhar, all of them were extraordinarily talented, they also had the knack of knowing what it is that they needed to do to succeed consistently. That is very important. And the other thing was that they knew how to handle their success as well as their failures. So these are things that people gain with experience. And of course, it is not necessary for everybody to be good learners, even though um, they could be as experienced as their counterparts or their colleagues. Some are better learners than the rest.
And then when you retired from the game in '99, was it an ambition of yours to move into coaching? Or did you want to explore different avenues? Were you ready for retirement? Talk us through your mindset during that period.
I was a part of the corporate world. I was working for one of the top organizations down in Chennai. Um, then, of course, what happens is that once you spent close to 20 years playing cricket and it was almost all consuming for you. Um, the other side of the coin is that everybody would tend to think that this guy can only play cricket, he can't do anything else. So in a way, it becomes kind of a catch-22 situation. Um, Now, coming back to your question, I did try everything. I got into the media, I did commentating for a while, and then I contributed columns to leading national dailies. And then I tried my hand at coaching. One of the things that propelled me towards coaching was the fact that I felt there was a lot of talent, even during my younger days, that I've seen. You know, just got lost due to lack of guidance. I was probably lucky that I played whatever I played, but I've seen a lot of talent going to waste, primarily because there's nobody to help them. Even personally, I found that if somebody were to help me with my bowling, things could have been different. Then, of course, it was nobody's fault again. Those days, you didn't have uh, the administration also looking to engage coaches. Now the entire scenario is different because they engage support staff right from the junior level. So things have changed. And the fact that I had seen a lot of talent go waste probably was still the more driving factor. I think it was for me to gravitate more towards coaching, and it's been a fantastic journey because you get the opportunity to make a positive impact on somebody else's life, and you sort of gain the trust of so many people. So many people are looking up to you to provide them guidance. It's not that it's feeding my ego or whatever. It's just that you're in a privileged position, and mind you, with that comes a lot of responsibility as well. But at the end of it all, the satisfaction that you derive, if you could make some sort of difference in somebody's life, that is worth it.
Yeah, so you've been involved with Tamil Nadu in the IPL as well with Kings 11 and the Knight Riders as well, Kolkata. Also, I want to talk a little bit about your involvement in the National Academy. Was it in 2015? Can you talk us through that involvement, the players that came through during that intake, those years?
Yeah, I was given the responsibility of being a resident coach at the National Cricket Academy in Bangalore, which is the high performance center of Indian cricket. What happens there is that cricketers of all elite teams get there for not only for the preparatory camps prior to embarking on a tour, be it the under 19 side or be it the A side or the national side. Uh, all the players of those elite teams get there to prepare themselves, and if at all they want to work on their cricket or any aspect of their cricket, they would come to the NCA and uh, take some time and devote some time to ensure that they get the time and the opportunity and the guidance to work on whatever aspect of the game they want to work on. Which meant that people, players from the national side, the Indian team, as from starting from players at that level down to the India under 19 level, all of them would come there to train. So, in my tenure at the NCA, uh, it was uh, a phase where everything happened, but at the same time, nothing happened in a way. When I say that, at that point in time, things were very fluid. But nonetheless, what happened was the players individually felt that they were really getting the kind of guidance and the opportunity and the facility that they needed. Uh, and a lot of players like Yuvraj Singh or the Ambati Raidu or Shikhar Dhawan or KL Rahul, all of them would be there whenever they needed to work on their game or have some extra kind of time to practice uh, for either for a specific tour or for their routines. They would come there and they had a good time and they felt that uh, the NCA was going in the right direction starting from them, because prior to my taking over along with Narendra Irvani, things were not really happening. In fact, the operations were suspended at the NCA prior to that, and in a way, it was resumption of the NCA in 2016 March. And I was there until the end of 2018 before I took charge of the Indian Women's team. A lot of good things happened. We put in a lot of systems in place, and of course, towards the end of 2018, Rahul Dravid is coming to the scene, and quite obviously, things are only going to get better because not only does he happen to be from Bangalore, which means that he can always be there to monitor things, but he's also been handling the India A and the under 19 sites, which means that he is more hands-on with what is happening at the grassroots level and what is happening in the Indian domestic cricket circuit.
Was there one youngster that came that during that your time in charge that has made it as well, like a youngster that's made it to the highest, to the international level?
Yeah, you can name quite a few because I was also sent on assignments with the India under 19 sides whenever the India A and India under 19 tours and series were happening concurrently, because Dravid couldn't be in two places at once. So I can talk about the likes of Prithvi Shah, Shubman Gill, then Karthik Tyagi, quite a lot of them belonging to the age group of under 16 then when I was a part of the NCA, and also they graduated into under 19, and their progress has been quick. I do remember I was doing one camp of the under 16 batch, I think it was. Um, and I was gobsmacked when I saw the all-round talent in that group. In fact, I had even mentioned and tweeted saying that I'm seeing a patch of enormous talent after a long, long time. And it was a case of all-round talent, be it batters, be it medium pacers or spinners or keepers. Um, Such talent at the under 16 level was something which is really sort of phenomenal to see. And quite a lot of them from that batch have gone on to obviously play for the country. And there were a lot of other cricketers who played for India A. Obviously, their times will come as well. So that's what I meant when I said between 16 and 18, there are a lot of good things that happened. All the trainees who have been there have gone on to really make waves and also make all the preparations and the guidance worthwhile, which means that right things were done, and they've also sort of benefited out of what was being done at the NCAA during that time.
And how did the role come about with the Indian national women's team? How did that involvement come, your transition into becoming the head coach?
What happened around the end of 2018 was that the women's team was playing a World Cup in West Indies. There were things that were being published in the press, and it was a kind of a messy situation then. Uh, Having been in the system for as many years that I've been, I felt that uh, the good work that is being done by the girls is getting overshadowed by all these things that are irrelevant to cricket or for the development of their cricket. So I felt that I could probably be of help, and I could probably, uh, make an impact for those girls because they've really been doing well in the preceding 3 years, mind you, from 15 to 18. So I felt I would rather try and give it a shot. If the BCCA thought it fit that I would be the right person to be there at that point in time, I said it'll be nice. And as it turned out, they handed me that assignment. And when I look back, it's with mixed feelings because the whole of 2020, or virtually almost 2020, after that tri-series and World Cup in Australia, nothing much happened, which was unfortunate because the girls were just really getting to uh, press on the pedal, but obviously such a long break, they got to start from scratch again. But prior to that, in 2019, they won all the one-day series that they played. But the most important thing was that they had really improved as a team in the 2020 format because that was something that they were really struggling to grapple with in terms of success in the 2020 format. Even when I took charge of the team, uh, we lost the series against England at home rather badly. So from there to where they came to in a matter of 12 months was phenomenal. And but for that pandemic affecting the world at large, I think a lot more could have been done in the last 10 months, but that's how life is. We
How is
have to
the
probably
women's
start
game?
from scratch.
How is the women's game viewed in India? Is there a lot of buy-in in terms of eyes on it from the audience? Do the women have access to performance centers like we just mentioned with the men's? How are things in India in terms of the structure?
Their cricket has really got a fillip after they came under the fold of the BCCI. This must have happened around 2008, I think. Since then, quite obviously, their cricket calendar is also along the same structure as men's cricket in domestic cricket, except for the fact that they don't have the under 16 levels because that is going to be really difficult to start off with unless the schools and other organizations start promoting cricket at the grassroots level. But I'm sure that is likely to happen in the next 3, 4 years' time. Uh, But getting back to their structure of cricket in domestic cricket, um, it is almost the same as men's. Now, in the last year, what we had done was that uh, we realized that they needed to play a lot more matches, and you must provide opportunities for some players to provide some players to progressively develop in their cricket. So I had suggested to the BCCI that they need to bring in the India A level side, because what used to happen was that they would play the under 19 and then they would play the senior uh, level in the domestic circuit, and then they were pitched into international cricket, which was really going to make it difficult for players. Not everybody can sort of succeed at international level and keep it going. Now, you might have probably a Smriti Mandana or a Harmanpreet Kaur who have done that, but not every girl is going to have that kind of success right from the beginning. So they needed to gain more experience. So now, in the future, what is going to happen is that it is almost going to be a replica of what happens in men's cricket. In terms of the viewership, in terms of following, it is really getting bigger and bigger. The recent Challenger Trophy that was played in the UAE attracted huge viewership, and I have no doubt at all that the viewership and the following is going to get really huge as time goes by. That's because these girls have been playing fabulous cricket in the last 5 years. They are hardworking, and the quality of cricket they play is also fantastic. It's not that you would say that, oh, they're far removed from the other nations, because what really has happened in the last couple of years is that they've improved, as I said, as a T20 side, and they have really competed and taken on teams like England and Australia in that format, and the public has seen it. So, which means that they've realized the Indian girls are second to none on their day. But for that, probably uh, a poor face of 20 minutes in the final, who knows what would have happened. But the public has got enough confidence in the girls, and they also have seen them enough to realize that uh, is the team is worthy of encouragement and support. Even now, you see a lot of people are talking about wanting to see the girls play international cricket as well now. So, women's cricket in India is going to only get bigger and bigger. Um, Personally, also, I feel that if this game, that is, if cricket has to attract a lot more countries into the fold, I am of the belief that it is only going to happen through women's cricket.
And then just to end on, is there one player on either the men's or the women's side that hasn't come on anyone's radar yet, but you feel is going to be the next superstar in not only Indian cricket but world cricket?
Oh, that's a tough one, and I normally don't ever take up names because I'm always of the belief that the players themselves will make it known to the world with their deeds. And the other side of the coin is that in trying to say what it is that you feel about the talent of one particular player, and you sort of express it publicly, what it does, it does put a little bit of pressure on the young cricketers. So let it be. Um, it won't be too long before they announce themselves.
Perfect. WV, thank you very much for your time today. Great insight into your career and all the best for the months ahead.
Thanks a lot, Neil. Thanks for having me, and you take care as well. Things are not looking really good in your neck of the woods. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much. So, Neel Khagram, Cricket Last Stories, WV Raman. Thank you.